Lock us in, load us in, pop in that 8-track, spin the tape. Here we go. Welcome to a brand new episode of Star Wars Time, and yes, we are on the Star Wars Time Podcast Network. Woohoo! If you listened to our intro episode, sorry you had to go through that, but we just wanted to get a quick episode out there for any new fans and really just to build up some sort of an episode log for Star Wars Time Show on its own podcast feed now. Life is good. So what we're going to do in this episode, this isn't going to be one of our traditional long-winded, match-drunk, Nick's not, twisty-turvy, tangent-like cast. This is actually going to be something we're going to maybe start doing more regularly in 2019 when the show returns from its winter break. But we're going to do our Resistance recap in a standalone episode. So the latest episode of Star Wars Resistance, I believe, what was it, Nick? Number 11? S1 E11?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're 11 episodes into the first season. The show is on break now, but fear not. If you're a huge Resistance fan, it was announced this week. We posted it on StarWarsTime.net, which, by the way, if you're a Star Wars Time show fan, you need to get with StarWarsTime.net because that's where the podcast is going to be hosted now. And we don't just do the podcast there. We post Star Wars news, thought pieces. Nick's got a little series, basically Know Your Star Wars, and he introduces a character in detail. So all that fun stuff is over there. But what I was going to tell you is Lucasfilm and Disney are going to be releasing Star Wars Resistance shorts. I believe the first 3 are out right now. You can find them on StarWarsTime.net. But the shorts are just going to be, little vignettes to help fill the time in between S1 E11, which was Station Theta Black, the one that just aired this past Sunday, or when you're listening to this, probably 2 Sundays ago. It doesn't matter. No one's keeping score. But they're cool. So Resistance isn't gone completely until 2019. There's these little shorts to dig into. So anyways, Nick, the episode we're going to dive into, like I said, Station Theta Black. It was one of those episodes where Kaz spent the entire episode with the Resistance, which always means it's a pretty damn good episode, at least in terms of adding lore to the new trilogy.
Yeah, these are the episodes that we really enjoy the most. I mean, there's a lot of fun to be had in some of the episodes where you're more focused on Team Fireball or anything like that, but we really want to learn more about this First Order plot, what's going on, his mission for the Resistance to gather information and then pass it on to Poe. And in this one, not only do we get all of that, he's working directly with Poe, and he's off station. He's off the Colossus, and they're doing a reconnaissance mission on what they think to be a derelict First Order station. They think it's abandoned. They think nobody's there. But they're going to investigate this thing to see if they can find any type of information that they can pass on to the Resistance and then on to possibly the New Republic to say, like, hey, look, the First Order is doing something here. They're building up an army and something's coming. So, in my opinion, this was probably one of the strongest episodes of the season so far, of the 11. I don't think it's my favorite one, but there is a lot of good information and a lot of good things set up by this episode to move forward into the 2019 season, the season continuation. So big fan of this episode so far.
Yeah, so as Nick kind of quickly recapped, this episode, the Resistance is starting to see the fruit of Kaz's spying. So as we talked in the last recap, we knew that Kaz intercepted the proposal that the First Order gave to Captain Doza, essentially to become the Colossus's protectors. He then transmitted that to the Resistance, and the Resistance, through their wizardry, they're able to find this data on this derelict station, which I think Nick said, but I just want to reiterate, is in the unknown regions again. Remember who comes from there and why he became the leader of the First Order. That's Snoke's grounds. That's he's from the unknown regions. We know Palpatine was looking into the unknown regions. That was part of his essentially scorched earth policy at the end when the Empire failed. He just wanted everything to blow up, but it had something to do with the unknown regions and all his bunkers and this, that, and the other thing. So I do like that they mentioned that, but like Nick said, anytime that Kaz gets in with the Resistance, you know we're going to get some good stuff. You know it's going to advance the overarching plot forward, which again is Kaz being a Resistance spy on the Colossus to root out a First Order mole. And again, the Colossus is this fueling station. First Order obviously wants control of it. It's a resource station after all. But you know, some episodes don't really touch on that. Others briefly advance it. These types of episodes, when it's usually Poe teaming up with Kaz, greatly advance that plot thread. So, like Nick, I was a big fan of it. Wasn't a huge fan of its Easter eggs and franchise references. We'll get into those in a little bit, but there wasn't much. All right, so if you're new to this, again, every week on StarWarsTime.net on Monday, typically by Monday afternoon, they'll both be up. I do a video breaking down all of the Easter eggs and Star Wars franchise references in the latest episode of Star Wars Resistance, and then I do a recap and review video. So this week I definitely had to work on the Easter eggs one. Lots of stretches in there. We'll get to it, but continuing on with the recap. So Poe and Kaz, they meet up with General Leia. That was cool to see them. You know, it's always great to see Leia in any form. I also have to say, Nick, Oscar Isaacs may be the greatest new cast member at this point in time, I think.
He brings it. And
I mean, are you kidding me, right? I mean, the performance this guy gives in these episodes, and I believe this is his third full-length episode that a A-level Hollywood actor has sat down and done voice work for, and he fucking kills it.
He does. Like, he could easily just kind of phone these in, sit in an ADR booth, and just kind of spout the lines out like nothing, but he actually puts the work in, and he really brings the character of Poe Dameron as we see in the live-action films to life in this cartoon series. So I'm glad that they didn't go with a voice match for him, because
I mean, it is fantastic that they locked those people in. I mean, they had to have hidden that in like Article 2, Section 3, Paragraph 5.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, when you sign on for the movies, you're also signing on for any animated series we deem you necessary for. Because the only other one I believe to be featured this year has been Gwendolyn Christie, and by no means am I shitting on her performances. Captain Phasma has just been used sparingly in Resistance. I mean, we probably got the most screen time of Phasma in Station Theta Black.
Yeah, I think we probably have less than 10 minutes of total screen time for Phasma in all of the episodes, all 11 episodes so far. But yeah, I mean, she is a very high-ranking First Order official, so I mean, it makes sense for her to kind of stay in the background, and when she is seen, it is in more impactful moments, you know, seeing
She
her
is a
on
mean
Hollywood.
motherfucker, though, isn't she? I mean,
she
she just busts balls. I mean, I love that. Some of my favorite parts in this episode were her busting the balls of the troopers. Like,
Yeah.
no, dummy, shut up and do what I tell you.
Yeah, one of the troopers was like, it's probably just scoundrels here. Like, the First Order shows up on, you know, at the derelict station to assess the state of these intruders, and the guy's like, oh, it's probably just, you know, smugglers, or it's probably just scavengers. And she's like, I said that we're gonna look, and we're gonna look, so shut the fuck up and do your job. Like, go around and find these people. I don't care if they're scavengers or not. Like,
we also got to see her, I think, for the first time in action. Like
Yeah.
an actual gun battle.
Yeah, we haven't even seen that really in
Not in the movies. I mean, TFA, nothing really. I mean, on Jakku, she's just kind of there giving orders. In 8, I mean, she, again, giving orders, and she has a little bit of a melee fight with Finn. But in this episode in particular, I mean, there's a straight-up shootout and chase sequence that kind of reminded me of the Death Star escape from A New Hope. You know, running through these Imperial-looking hallways with guys in white armor shooting at good guys in, like, brown or pilot suits and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Point being, if you don't like this cartoon for whatever reason, like if you're still salty about TLJ or some dumb shit like that, like just get over yourself. Give this stuff a shot. I don't care if you want more of the Clone Wars. It's coming back. Some of you people need to realize, like, new Star Wars stuff is okay.
Yeah, it's
if they called it an anime and that offends your anime senses or your manga stuff, get over it, man.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, this is a good show. I mean, 11 episodes in, I can tell you, I don't regret investing any time in I don't regret investing the amount of time I've invested into it. I watch each episode fucking twice. Then I spend about 3 or 4 hours each week making videos about it. It is worth it. And this episode is one that kind of highlights why it's worth it, right?
This is the only show that we have right now. This is the only piece of content that we have right now that's filling in gaps. You know,
for the new trilogy.
Exactly.
I mean, in particular, we really don't. If you think about it, outside of TFA and TLJ, the new trilogy era is pretty ripe for the picking.
Oh yeah,
even ripe for explaining stuff. I mean, look. Mandalorian's gonna be a bridge now. This show's kind of a bridge. I mean, I believe, how many years before TFA is this show? Like,
this is
6,
pretty
7,
close. I think
like
it's 6. We've looked it up before. I'm not gonna punch it up now because we're getting through the recap, but it's very close. And I mean,
it's still at the point, as you brought up, and this episode kind of highlights, where the First Order is, I wouldn't say they're a myth in the galaxy. They're definitely known. But it's still not known how powerful they are. And so you're starting to see, like, how the Resistance started to key in on the First Order's buildup of arms and how they started to blow the whistles to the New Republic. This episode in particular, I mean, at the end, so I know we kind of skipped over some stuff, but basically Poe and Kaz go to this First Order station, which looks very much like Starkiller Base. It's built into essentially an asteroid. And what we ultimately find out was that the First Order was mining Deadlinite, which in Star Wars land is a mineral used to create blasters. I don't know how that works, but it is Star Wars. It's not real, just in case you guys forgot. And, Phasma was going there to blow it up anyways because, why they want to blow it up? They don't want anyone to know what the hell they're doing. So through this cartoon, we found out that it was Kaz who ultimately discovered that the First Order has stations set up around the unknown regions to mine minerals to build a massive war machine.
Yeah, this is what we wanted to see prior to TFA. TFA, we come in and Starkiller Base is already a force, and the full military might of the First Order is already there, but we never knew how it happened, and it did kind of seem a little weird. Like, how does this rogue faction within the New Republic, which is what the First Order started as, how did they become the juggernaut that they are without there being a very clear open war between the New Republic?
Well, I believe, wasn't there a ban on building up a fleet or arms or whatnot in the New Republic?
There was. I
believe so.
Yeah, there.
Even like, I'm not even talking like EU New Republic. I'm talking like canon New Republic.
Yeah, there was like no system or no faction that was a part of the New Republic was allowed to have an individual military force that wasn't sanctioned by the New Republic, to my knowledge. I think that's how it worked. So the fact that the First Order had built up this army basically in secret was very hard to believe, and now we're seeing how they were doing it. Like, they were doing these stealth missions and stuff to get.
They were hiding
material.
shit throughout the unknown regions. The unknown regions are unknown for a reason. They're not charted. They're not on the star maps. They're not on the hyperspace maps. I mean, the only reason the Resistance found this was they picked out some data that Kaz gave them from the proposal that they gave to Doza.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good information for you people out there who are looking for context into the new trilogy. There's a lot of good information here in the show, and we're only 11 episodes in, so you can expect that there's going to be some more good context given in further episodes, further seasons.
Even as it ends, Nick, we learned from Leia herself why, when we pick up everything in TFA, why no one's helping the Resistance from the New Republic. I mean, she pretty much tells Kaz, because he's like, oh, my dad's a senator. He won't stand for the First Order mining Deadlanite to make weapons. And she's like, you know what, buddy? Most of the senators are making money off of selling war machine type of materials to this side, that side. They ain't gonna do shit.
Yeah, and that's
and Kaz's like, no, I think they'll know it. I think they'll help now that they know the true purpose of what the First Order's up to. And as we come to find out, they ignore Leia all up until a fucking laser beam comes in and blows up basically the entire New Republic.
Yeah, exactly. And
I mean, I hope everyone remembers that. The New Republic is decimated, obliterated in The Force Awakens when Starkiller Base unleashes. It's gone. Yeah. There's no New Republic in TLJ, and there's not going to be a New Republic in 9. It is toast.
Yeah, the Hosnian system was basically their Coruscant, and when Coruscant gets blown up, then everything's gone. Yeah. So that's what happened to the New Republic.
I wish they would have cut to a shot of Leia sitting there, like, grinning and laughing. Like, I told you, you fucking idiots.
It's like, nobody wanted to believe me. But, going back to what you said about the New Republic Senate not caring or not believing anything that they say about the First Order, that was number 4 on your Easter eggs list this week. And it also, that harkens back to, in a way it harkens back to, like you said, in the new trilogy, the First Order building up because the New Republic paid no attention or no mind to the information that was given to them. And I also kind of made a connection there with the Senate within the prequels and the OT. In the OT we hear that the prequels have been, the Senate has been dissolved, but in the prequels we see that the Senate is essentially what gives rise to the Empire. And in a way, by inaction, the First Order was brought to prominence because of inaction by the New Republic Senate. So
no, you're dead on. That wasn't why I made it a reference in the list. In my head, when I heard Leia explained that, even senators in the New Republic Senate were profiting off of war, and they probably wouldn't care who was buying weapons or making weapons. I instantly went to the conversations between Rose and Finn and DJ in The Last Jedi. Rose and Finn on Canto, where she's pretty much saying, like, nah, man, all these people, they're having a great time because they're rich, because they're profiting off of our wars, essentially. And then DJ reminds Finn, like, hey, buddy, there is no really good or bad side in war. Look at this arms dealer. Oh, yeah, he's selling the First Order. But, hey, lo and behold, he's also selling you guys your X-Wings. But Nick makes a good point. It appears that Senates suck in the Star Wars universe.
Also kind of in real life, but yeah.
Yeah, they kind of suck here, too. So it just seems that Senates and their senators are going to get corrupted pretty easily.
Yeah, so if we want to, we got 3 left on your Easter eggs list here, Matt.
Yeah, we've recapped the episode, and I think we both gave it our stamp of approval. I agree. I wouldn't say it was the best, but it was damn good in terms of pushing that overarching plot forward, which is my biggest want in this show. I'm all about having kind of the one-off episodes here and there. They're fun sometimes to establish some lore of Resistance's own. But I do like when we get these kind of hardcore, all right, let's advance Kaz's mission, or let's sprinkle in some interesting intrigue in the Kaz's mission here or there. Good episode. We recapped it. If you need more, trust me, I got a video I talked to you, or you can read it. But get into the Easter eggs and references. So we've covered one reference, kind of a stretch. The only really pure Easter egg I found this episode, Nick, was at the very beginning. Which I liked how they started with Yeager and Tam and basically reminding us all that Kaz is basically an incompetent idiot.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything in life. I really am starting to like Kaz.
He is.
He's not your typical hero.
He's not, and his naivety really makes his character.
Exactly.
So
like he's almost clumsy, dopey, but heroic, and usually does the right thing.
Yeah, oftentimes he kind of stumbles his way into the right answer.
I can't think of another main that he's similar to.
It's hard. Definitely nothing in Star Wars. The closest action-wise he is to any Star Wars character would probably be fucking Jar Jar, as blasphemous as that is to say. I mean, if you
You know what? Nick is almost spot on, but please don't roll your eyes and go, fuck, if they just mentioned Jar Jar Binks and Resistance, I'll never touch it. Yeah. He's not like doing Husa, Musa, and Yisas and the bosses, Hoon the Gasser and that type of shit. But he's like a clumsy hero.
Yeah, he is, and it's different. It's something that you've never seen before in Star Wars, and
not for the main character.
Not at all.
No way.
Not in any of the movies, not in Clone Wars, not in Rebels. I mean, this is a new type of hero, and it's definitely more kid friendly. You know, with Anakin and Obi-Wan in Clone Wars, that was the animation style was kid friendly, but the content of the characters was more
serious.
Yeah,
you're right. I mean, there are some of the like Saturday morning cartoon hijinks and Resistance. You know, they're just usually like a little comedy beat and this, that, and the other thing. It's just refreshing to have a hero who isn't your defined,
brooding.
Yeah, like real gritty and burly and tough, manly, and never does anything wrong. So I like it. Anyways, the only Easter egg I found, and this is a cheat because I think we've seen this picture before, but the episode starts in Yeager's office. And behind him, you can see a framed picture of himself as a rebel pilot celebrating the end of the Battle of Jakku.
Yep. I think we have seen this before in another episode really early on. It might have been episode 3 or somewhere close to that. But we know that Yeager has a background as a rebel pilot. But after that, like his backstory has been filled in a little bit. We know that he was formerly a professional racer. There was a tragedy when he was in a race with his brother, which got his entire family killed. But after that, we kind of still have this gray area with Yeager. And really the only solid thing that we know is, he is on the Colossus station and he is working with Poe to help, keep Kaz's mission under wraps because he was part of the rebellion and because he is a trusted member.
I want to know more about this guy because, I mean, if you've been listening to us, you've kind of heard my take on him. I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that Yeager could be the bad guy. But as Nick pointed out, Yeager and Poe had a clear relationship before Poe brought Kaz to the Colossus.
Yeah.
And there is something that happened that has prevented Yeager from siding up with the Resistance. I mean, you'd think a guy that fought with the rebellion, was at the Battle of Jakku, would have followed Leia onto the Resistance. But for one reason or another, this guy wants nothing to do with the Resistance in terms of him directly helping them, but he is at least willing to kind of watch over Kaz, keep his mission protected, cover for him when needed, so on and so forth. So Yeager, there's definitely a lot of intrigue to this guy.
Yeah, 100%. Out of all the characters on the show, he's the one that has the most left to explore, I think. And I'm really looking forward to when we kind of get into the meat of his storyline and really figure out what his motives are and what his real...
Right. I want to know his beef with the Resistance. Like, is he one of these guys like Luke on Acto where he's just like, hey, fuck it.
Yeah, I'm done.
Anytime I get involved, shit gets worse. I'm out. I'm done fighting. I've laid down my sword, one of those types of deals.
Yeah.
Or did something happen? Or is he the motherfucking First Order mole? I don't know. I'm still going with that. I'm telling you right now, people, if you've been watching the show, following our recaps, or just looking at the videos, no way in hell Doza is the mole.
No, yeah, it's too obvious. Doza is clearly, like, he's there for the kids to have somebody to be suspicious of. But if you
even Kaz, like as we talked last week, I mean, we as the audience knows what's up. We know it's not Doza. I mean, we can tell Doza has no love for the First Order, but Kaz doesn't because he isn't privy to a lot of the things we've seen, and the things he has been allowed to see from Doza would definitely make him think that Doza is working with the First Order.
Yeah,
it's called good storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, an Imperial officer's uniform in his closet.
Loved it. I can't wait to get more of that revealed.
Yeah,
that's that's coming up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's going to be some sort of confrontation between Kaz and Doza about that. That's definitely in the works. But moving on to the next Easter egg. So like Matt said, to kind of preface this, a little bit of reach here and there, but we got to try to fill the spaces in the Easter eggs. And this one is in reference to Station Theta Black's interior looking very similar to Starkiller Base. And, you could say, oh, yeah, that's obvious. It's all First Order construction. It's very militaristic. It's going to be very uniform. But still, I mean, this looks eerily similar, even in like the hallways, the way.
Well, it leads you to believe that these motherfuckers love building their structures into organic material.
Exactly. Like they have
Starkiller's a whole damn planet, where this little mining station was, just an oversized space rock. But these fuckers legitimately burrow into these celestial bodies, throw up their interiors, their shiny floors and geometric, almost trapezoid-style hallways and doorways, while leaving some of the natural structure in place as walls. I mean, as soon as I saw them land in Station Theta Black, is like, their architect definitely left here and then went over to Starkiller Base and whatever other rocks they were digging into.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if you think about how the First Order is operating now and, up to the beginning of TFA, like, they're an underground organization. Like, they may have their stormtrooper look-alike garb, and they may be very outwardly aggressive at some times, but they're still trying to work on the down low. And in order to do that, in order to have these types of facilities, you would have to do it the way that they are inside of, natural formations like planets, like asteroids, stuff like that. And it could also lead you to believe that after the destruction of Starkiller Base and their ultimate, I guess you could say, coming out party in the galaxy, maybe in Episode 9 we see a more obvious superstructure that's not built into something like an asteroid or a planet. But
they may have and we may not know it. They may have their home planet.
Yeah,
we just don't know yet. I mean, or maybe they don't. Maybe they have just been kind of transient, migratory, almost like nomadic in space. They have their celestial body outposts like Starkiller and Theta Black. And they don't really have a true home base, which would kind of make sense for a faction hell-bent on killing everybody, but didn't want to be found out that they wanted to kill everybody.
Exactly, yeah. So I think it's a good call-out, and I think it's a relevant call-out, because not only does it apply to this and does it apply to, Starkiller Base, but it could also apply to things that we see in the future. For an organization the size of the First Order, they don't have two stations. There is guaranteed to be more, of these, like you said, transient style stations elsewhere in the galaxy. We might see one in Episode 9. It's very possible. And, we probably will see some more in Resistance. So.
Yeah, I have a feeling, because some of the critiques from 8 were that basically they were just on ships the whole time. I have a feeling we'll be going to more planets and feet touching Earth and that type of stuff in 9.
Yeah.
So we may very well see where Kylo has shacked up the First Order.
Makes sense. It makes sense. Star Wars is always, it's a space opera, but there's always a lot of terrestrial happenings in the Star Wars universe. So
I could almost see the fucker going back to Mustafar.
Dude,
at least him. What happens to Vader's castle? I think that's ripe for some storytelling.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could happen here. I feel like this Episode 9 in particular is going to have a lot of movement between different planets. For some reason, I get the feeling that people are looking for things in this movie. Kylo is looking for something. Rey is looking for something. Poe and Finn are looking for something. I feel like this is going to be a very migratory movie where people are jumping around to try to find something, whatever it is that they're looking for.
But Lando's just pimping.
Lando, yeah. Lando's on the planet that he now
He's
owns.
pimping.
And
Whatever he's doing, he's pimping.
yeah, he's always wearing a cape, too. You can guarantee
pimping ain't
that.
easy unless your name is Lando Calrissian.
Yeah. All right, next up. And this is probably... I mean, you said that the most obvious one was probably the Yeager picture. I would say that this is probably the most obvious reference at the very least. Maybe not Easter egg, but reference. And that is the way Kaz saves himself from the Theta Black explosion at the end of the episode is by hiding inside of an asteroid. Very similar to what Obi-Wan Kenobi did in episode 2 when he was running from Jango Fett, and then also, as we know, Han Solo did in episode 5 when he was running from the Empire. So that was a good call out. And I mean,
it's funny, dude. When I first saw it, I instantly went to Han. I completely forgot that Obi was the one that patented the asteroid stick landing.
Yeah, like he was actually stuck on the outside of the asteroid. Yeah. Like Han went
the exact same thing that Kaz does.
Exactly, yeah. Like Han went inside of the space slug's mouth.
Well, I also pointed out Han did something similar where he sticks his ship to something, but it wasn't an asteroid. He sticks to a Star Destroyer.
Exactly, like pretty much, yeah.
It's all to avoid something. It's all to avoid being seen or blown up. So yeah. they kind of fit for the reference I was trying to make.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Han still gets caught because, Boba Fett's there waiting for him. But it's very
because
similar.
Boba knew that trick because he was a little kid.
And he saw
Obi-Wan did it. So he thought about that, and that's how he knew.
Yep. It's all tied together, people. You see? George Lucas did know what he was doing with the prequels.
Obi-Wan was a stoner on Tatooine. That's all.
Exactly.
He smoked way too much Tatooine Kush.
Yeah, and he was
a little sand people.
Too chatty at the cantinas when he would go there. Gave up some of his secrets, but overall, I think you kind of called it out. This was very light in terms of references and stuff like that, but. Content-wise, I think is where this episode excelled, and we talked about it all. But I think it does. Like 2019 is going to be a really good year for this show because we're now past the point where we have to get through, a lot of exposition and setup and stuff like that. People know who the characters are. That's been established. We know what the mission is. That's been established. And now we can get into the meat of it. We can get into how this is going to affect the story of TLJ, TFA, and the new trilogy as a whole, and how are the things that Kaz discovers in his missions going to be used by the Resistance to maybe put them in a position to foil the First Order. I think this was a strong episode, and it has really good potential to set up 2019 in a strong way.
Yeah, I guess at this point, and I don't know if you know, but I don't think we still know if this show is going to be more than a season or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or if it's been picked up. I mean, it was never, and if I missed it, it's my fault. I'll go cane myself after this, but I don't believe I've seen anything saying that this show's been picked up or it's going to continue on after 2019. The fact that it rolled out 11 in the first half of its first season leads me to believe it may be a full run season of 20 episodes or more, which is good. I don't know if it's coming back. I mean, I don't know if this is just supposed to be one self-contained season story. There we go. I don't know if they're waiting on viewership numbers or what. I hope it comes back. I mean, I think there's potential for a few seasons of this show. But so far, so good. So I think we've pretty much recapped this bad boy. We've reviewed Station Theta Black. We've dropped the Easter eggs and references that you may have missed. Is there anything we haven't covered with in this recap, my friend?
No, I think we covered it all. Stick around for the 2019 return of Star Wars Resistance, everybody.
Yeah, so like I said, there's a good chance we may start doing these as standalone in 2019 when the show comes back. If not, they will be lumped into our flagship show, which is the main Star Wars time show where we just kind of sit around like two idiots. Well, I'm the one idiot, usually drunk, yelling about the prequels. Nick's just kind of chilling. I don't know if he's like on some sort of tranquility pill or peace pipe, but he is definitely even Steven. But we'll be back. We'll be doing the Resistance recaps in 2019 when the show returns. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've learned something. If you don't want to listen to us, of course, you can always get our Resistance coverage on StarWarsTime.net. You'll find it on the homepage or in the feature section. You can't miss it. So until next time, my friends, may the Force be with you always.